Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Charlton Chronicles. It's everybody's second favourite host. Sorry, Tyler. Me. I'm joined by Paul and by Steve. How's everybody doing?
Yeah.
All good, thank you, mate. Yeah, very pleased after last night.
Yeah. Should we just get a really quick, before we say hello to people, as people kind of filter in, should we just have a really quick sort of how you're feeling after last night? Go, Steve.
I thought it was a massive 3 points last night. It felt like one of those games that if we could get a win or get a point, it would be points really well earned. I knew they'd be physical and probably pretty well organised, but I thought we were great from the outset, from the start through to the finish, and the fact that we got the goal so near the end, it was a little bit hairy scary at times in regards to hanging on, but it felt like a massive 3 points last night, and because of that, I'm very positive about what's coming up for us now. But yeah, brilliant win, great 3 points.
And Paul?
Yeah, I couldn't really add much to Steve. He said it all, I think. Just to say, actually, Callum, I think Mark it was that said I sounded like Chris Rea. I might actually be joining Chris Rea because I'm wearing my son's medium old Hummel Betdak shirt, and my breathing is being a bit constricted. But talking of possible fatalities, just a shout out to my mate Gary Meaton. Gary sits with myself and Simon in B block. Gary actually was running to Barnhurst Station last night to get, there's like a loop train that runs down Bexley line up to the Woodage line. He was running, he fell over outside the Red Barn, for those that know the pub, hit his head, ended up, had to go to Darrett Valley today to get a brain scan. Thankfully, as his wife said, he's actually got a brain which hasn't been damaged. So shout out to Gary. So unfortunately, he missed the game, and it was great. I was so pleased for TC. He took his goal really well. I thought he'd actually missed. Well, he did miscontrol it, didn't he? But he managed to retrieve the situation, scored a goal, and it's a real great boost. A point would have been good. We were certainly matching them, but to get the three, that's really it. Hopefully, it will give us lift off. It was a great night.
Yeah, I mean, I think before we get into individual player performances and we sort of analyse that, I think probably the best place to sort of reflect is to go 7 clear, game in hand on everyone that's not named Portsmouth below us, I think. You win on Tuesday, Steve, next week, and that's pretty much all she wrote, isn't it? With the games in hand, but you've got Sheffield Wednesday and Oxford away as well to play.
Yeah, me and Sib were having a similar conversation on the walk back to the car last night. I mean, ultimately, Portsmouth was massive anyway, but it's massive now. I think, as you say, after last night's performance and the two performances before this, it's put us in a nice position. And as I say, if we can get that win against Portsmouth, as you say, then you're potentially just sort of cherry picking 2 or 3 wins and to keep you up, which is exactly where we wanted to be at the start of the season. But yeah, on the back of the performances of late and the 3 clean sheets, I mean, there's no reason why we can't be really optimistic about the Portsmouth game. I think we're a better side than them. I think we're tactically better than them. And if we show that on the night and get the 3 points, I mean, don't say it too loudly, but we should be all right, yeah.
I mean, Paul, it's like that, isn't it? I read someone was making the point, and I brought it up earlier on my own pod, which was, if somebody had offered you 31 games in to be level on points with Sheffield United and Norwich, right? I would have taken that. I wouldn't have thought I would have been sat in 18th.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. It's been a bit topsy-turvy. But no, absolutely right. I mean, I think that it's tantalising, isn't it, to think that if we can beat Portsmouth, then it gives us such a boost, or further boost, really. So, and then you sort of start saying to yourself, well, what was all the fuss about? What was the worry about us going down? Of course we weren't going to go down, but that obviously that worry was kind of real. But yeah, absolutely, it's been, as I say, really Norwich and Sheffield should be well up there, shouldn't they? I guess is the point you're making. But like I said, going back to last night, I think we actually matched Stoke. We matched a long-standing mid-table championship side. And if we can do that, then, I mean, a month ago, 3-4 weeks ago, we were thinking, well, wouldn't we be able to do that? Where's the next goal coming from? Where's the next win coming from? And it's all turned round. And we'll obviously, as you said, talk about individual player performances. But I think, the players we brought in, as I may have said last time, they're all contributing. And as I say, it's just, but yeah, I mean, as you say, Norwich and Sheffield are kind of in false positions, particularly Norwich. I think Norwich are going up the table now. They're going up the Football League. And fair play to Clement, but obviously we're not bothered about them, are we? It's all about us. it's all looking pretty rosy in the garden, if I might say so.
Steve, I would love to start with the goal, but let's be honest, I'm not doing that. There's only one place to start, and that is with the absolute carnage that was when the final whistle went, and Nathan Jones very politely told the Stoke fans to have a nice journey home, using 3 very friendly words that we're not going to repeat on a family-friendly podcast.
Yeah.
Before deciding to square up to Ryan Shawcross, who's about 6'6". On a scale of 1 to 10, I was about an 8. How much were you laughing at that last night? Let's get the serious stuff out of the way.
Oh, I'm going over 10 on that one, I must say. Yeah, I enjoyed that immensely. At first, I didn't realise it was Shawcross. And then the fact that I did then realised it was made it even funnier. I'm no fan of Shawcross. I think he's the most overrated player on the planet to ever get an England cap. And then he got shown exactly what he was by the Sweden Ibrahimovic that night. How he got an England cap, I'll never know. But I always thought he was a bit of a thug in his playing days, if I'm being truthfully. But yeah, the fact that Jones looked like he squared up to him rather than him squaring up to Jones made it even funnier. And I mean, let's have it right. If you're going to berate a human being, whether it be a manager or a player, for a period of 90 minutes, 90 at their ground and 90 at ours, non-stop, you have got to be big enough and hard enough to be able to take a little bit back. And then on the back of taking that, I know he has to watch his P's and Q's and look at, genuinely behaves, sorry. But yeah, he's rightly okay to have a little pop and a little if he does a little swear, then so be it, a little gesture. I don't know what Shawcross was getting so animated about, if anything, but I even thought Jones showed a little bit of class as he came off the pitch, because the crowd obviously wanted the away, but he was kind of reticent that he didn't want to annoy the Stoke fans anymore, pointed to their end and just gave it a couple of little soft fist bumps. But yeah, we beat a team that he used to manage. We beat a team that now absolutely berate and belittle the guy that came into their club. They talk about him being their worst ever manager that they've ever had, but yet they go away crying. There seems as though the fans and the players included and the staff, because he's had a little bit of a pop back. Good for Nathan, and yeah, I thought it could have been a sketch out of a comedy show. I've got to say, it was great.
I mean, the thing that made it even more comedic was Greg Docherty at the end turning to Tyrese Campbell as if Tyrese Campbell was ever going to do the way.
Exactly.
Which is about as likely to happen as I am to paint them an A. And I have no artistic skills whatsoever. It was just nope. You could just see him like hanging back, like not doing that.
Well, I mean, if you contrast it with, as Steve said, Nathan Jones doing, to use the spinal tap analogy, turning it up to 11. You couldn't get a greater contrast, could you, with TC? And he does. He's a man of few words, of course, and he does let his football generally do the talking. But yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, he as I say, he's just not that sort of guy, is he really? So they might carry on trying that in future games if he scores goals like that again. But yeah, no, he is his definition of reticent, isn't he?
I mean, the 53-second post-match interview was funny, and then if you have not heard the excruciatingly painful interview he did with Louis Mendes, do yourself a favour and find it. It's like genuinely excruciating.
Well, fair play to Louis, though. I mean, he had his questions in his head straight away. Rat tat 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 tat. There was no sort of dead air really. He just gave it to him. Yeah, I mean, as I say, I thought the interview he gave. Actually, I thought Tyrese is probably a little more direct and a little bit more articulate than he has been normally, but I appreciate that's a relative term.
It's just not his thing. I think that's fair enough, right? For some people it is, for other people it's not. I mean, you get Conor Cody and they wouldn't shut up for 3 hours. But
well, he did. He showed. I mean, you probably saw on the webs on the socials, John socials. They had him and Kane, TC and Kane, looking at the goal, and he didn't really say a great deal to Kane. Actually, it was all quite sort of muffled. So that's just the way he is, and I'm sure with his mates he's a lot more effusive. And fine, good luck to him. As I say, he doesn't need to sort of tell us his life story or anything like that. So as long as he just plays, and obviously he's had criticism, as we all know. Some of it's been pretty vitriolic and out of order, to be fair. He's deserved criticism for some of his performances, but not to some of the extent that some fans. And so you can understand him being a bit, reticent about all of that stuff. He just wants to, goes into his shell a bit. And fair play to the lad. It's no dramas.
Steve, shall we say hello to those in the comments? We kind of let them filter in from Charlton Live. I'm sure people went for dinner breaks and bathroom breaks and all the rest of it.
Yeah,
You know, I see some of these names. Some of these people have been literally doing this since about 6 o'clock this evening.
Yeah. I was going to say, thank you very much for your attendance because, as I say, there's been a lot going on this evening. So we're going to take a few more of your valuable and precious minutes. Matt even logged in to say that he won't be watching, but wanted to say hi anyway, which is great. He said he works Thursday nights. Sure, we make a great show as always. Great result, good performance. Would have been a travesty if we didn't win. Fair play to TC. Yeah. Evening to Mark. Evening, guys. Chief tormentor of my daughter last night, which did make me chuckle on a number of occasions. Thanks, Mark. Evening, Tommy Early. Hi, evening, guys. Great free points onwards and upwards. He also mentioned chasing you all over from Charlton Live, Paul. Mark's kind of spoken about what we did in the early part of the show. Beat Pompey, cash the Wednesday token. Only 5 more points needed for safety, which is great. Evening to Rustos. Evening on to the next podcast after Charlton Live. Again, thanks again. Evening to Tom. Hope he's well. Not a bad performance at all. Happy for his boy TC. Portsmouth game is a game he can see us winning as well. Thought all alone signings were absolutely superb. Evening, Tommy. I think the Millwall game was a changing point, which it looks like it was now. Mark's mentioned fish over water there. Evening, Chris. Raksaki didn't want to score against us. Yeah, I kind of felt that as well. Yeah, he knows where he is loved, and I think he genuinely was respected last night, wasn't he? So, Mark's mentioned our attire this evening, Paul. Some 2019 fever dream looking at Stephen Paul's shirt. We are in a little bit of a Hummel dreamer here, aren't we?
We are actually, aren't we? Yeah, I might do my Danish again. No, maybe not.
I actually really like those two kits as well. Like those are two of the better Hummel ones, I think.
Yeah, very much so. And Tom was just making a comment about Tyrese saying that he's just a shy guy, which he very much is. So yeah, I don't think you're ever going to get a great deal out of Tyrese in regards to media, maybe until he gets a bit older and kind of grows into it. But yeah, he's just one of those lads, only a bit shy. That's all. Yeah.
I mean, Steve, there's only one player to start with, and that's obviously everybody's man of the match, which was Thomas Kaminski, who had nothing to do all night. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to start there. We're not going to start there. I'm in a bit of a silly mood tonight. Let's talk about the goal. We'll do the goal, which was like a combination of like the most Route 1 football you're ever going to see. One long ball, decent kick from Kaminski, to be fair. The one time Nzonzi loses the ball in the air, lovely little flick on from Lyndon Dykes. Terry Campbell takes the ball, bit of a weird first touch, but hey ho, he can run at that pace. Who cares? You don't need a first touch. He actually takes a nice look up, which I noticed. He looks up and sees there's space and goes, "Oh, I'll just chip it over the keeper, knock it into the empty net." It's a lovely little finish, actually. To be fair to him, it looked like he actually really enjoyed that celebration. Which for the games against Birmingham and Derby, he really hasn't been able to celebrate them because they've been sort of chasing the game a little bit at that point. But that was the Northampton goal that we scored with Godden. Anyone remember the winner in that game? It's the same goal. It's knock it, win it, go. Yeah, it's perfect personnel. It's the same goal. Don't mind it. Proper Route 1 football. Who cares, right?
Yeah. I mean, as you say, it was a good strike from Kaminski. And Mr. Dykes again doing what Mr. Dykes does, doing it very well and shutting Mr. Campfield right up, which is great. I thought he was great again last night, Dykes, by the way. And I think as soon as the centre half made his decision to do whatever he decided to do, whether it was a slip or a misjudgment, Tyrese was through. I noted the first touch, a bad first touch, and I think we said before we came on live. In most normal players, that would have been the end of it because the keeper would have got there. But Tyrese has got the pace to get to the ball, and ironically, it put him in a position where the keeper had to make a decision, and he could have slotted it. He could have gone either side, to be honest with you. But the decision he did make to go to his left was a great one. And even then, I think it was such a tense moment and such a tense game that even when he went round the keeper, I was just praying, please keep it on target, keep it down. And it was a great finish. So apart from the sort of the dodgy first touch, which his pace made a mockery of, it was a really, really good composed finish from Tyrese. And as you say, seeing him run off towards a stand like that, jump in the air, he looked genuinely pleased about it. And he was kind of unlucky not to get one before that when he cut in again and made the keeper make a great save. But yeah, it was good to see him come on in the position that he can do damage, and he certainly did with a goal. Yeah,
I was going to say, Callum, actually, Simkin justified your non-faith in him. in that particular moment.
I don't always get things right, Paul. However, one of the things I did get right, we'll go, keeping my ego inflated, was please, dear to God, Tyrese never again at left wing back, please, right? Never again. It's over, surely.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Good.
absolutely.
Yeah.
No,
Not anyone's going to argue that. It would be,
No.
Talking of left wing backs, Paul. Oh no, we'll do Dykes. You love Dykes. We'll do Dykes. We've got Steve having to eat a bit of humble pie down there.
Well,
All right,
yeah.
I'm going to do it again on Cody. I'm going to do it on Cody in a second. So don't you worry, Steve. I'll join you in the eating humble pie awards. But
I can understand.
That's why you were happy he came in.
Yeah.
Surely, I mean,
absolutely. I mean, I can understand, Steve and others being a bit cynical about, what is this Dykes? He's not done a great deal. He didn't do much at Birmingham, didn't do that much at QPR, etc., etc. Made his mark in Scotland, and big deal. With respect to our Scottish viewers and listeners, but yeah, I mean, I just thought that he's kind of got obviously a lot more experience than Miles. He's got more subtlety, and he'll do a job, and he's certainly done a job on the international stage in similar vein. So it didn't surprise me. I'm not going to do an "I told you so." I'm just really glad. As you know, when I knew we were getting, I was buzzing, which is unusual for me. I'm not that sort of person normally. I'm quite sort of a glass half empty rather than glass half. Well, and he's now justifying the faith that I had in him. Not that he's listening to me or gives a toss what I think of him, but he's just really, and that was a great flick, well timed jump. That's sort of 10, 12 years of experience. So quite a lot of it in the Championship. So yeah, excellent. It wasn't quite on a plate for TC. He still had work to do, but it was a proper assist. And so he's just doing his stuff. Hopefully he can continue doing that, get into the Scotland World Cup squad. And I'd love to think if he continued doing that, and if there was a chance of keeping him, or him signing a new contract for next season, I'd sort of be all for it. But obviously we've got 15 games to go, or whatever it is. But so far so good. Took a little while to get into his stride. But yeah, no, excellent. As I say, he's really among a number of players who've really set their stall out and have worked to good effect for the team. So he's part of the reason why we are far more cohesive unit, should I say, than we did say 3-4 weeks ago.
Steve, shall we talk about the absolute slugfest that was that midfield battle between Conor Cody and Stephen Nzonzi? Because that was two former Premier League players, both of whom very good on the ball. Neither of whom can run anymore. Basically taking up an entire central part of the pitch and forcing the entire game to go outside. It was fascinating tactically to watch these two just basically big lumps just tear bits out of each other, whilst actually being very nice on the ball. But both showed why. I think that they've played the level above, even if physically now they're playing sort of below, because their legs aren't there anymore. But one of the things that I mean this as a compliment when I say this, I mean Conor Cody was barking at people like a Scouse Rottweiler. Like you could, the fact there's a lower crowd, we can talk about that later, but you could just hear this Scouse accent of you go here, you're there, you're here, come back, come round, come here. It was just, he's behind you, he's on your shoulder, it was just like, oh my God, like it's like having a manager on the pitch, right? I'm going to eat some humble pie here, because when we signed him, I think I'll probably have a text to Paul going, I don't know why on earth we've done that, right? Well, turns out he's a midfielder, and if you play him in there, suddenly he wants to be the Championship's version of Busquets. And I don't quite know where that's come from, but 3 games, 3 clean sheets, organising people. Can't ask for much more, can you?
No, I think he's been brilliant since he's come in through the door. As you say, he's a captain in all but name, and he's bossing things on the pitch, not only physically, but he's bossing things mentally. He's keeping us ticking over, and he's getting us on it when we need to be on it. Last night was perfect example of that. I mean, Stoke have spent probably good wages on Nzonzi, bringing him back to their side this season, and they brought him in so that he can influence games and win games for them. You've got someone like the likes of Cody last night that stood up to him and went, "Not tonight, mate. No chance." And I thought Cody won the battle hands down last night. Nzonzi did some good things, under little pressure. But when push came to shove and balls needed to be won and personalities needed to come through, Cody was there. And as I say, I don't think, probably on current form at the moment, he's got to be right up there with whoever's playing in that position. He's got to be one of the better performers in the division at the moment at that particular job. The other good thing I like about Cody, and I noticed this last night watching the game, he's doing everything really, really, really well. And it's like that old cliche about referees. You don't notice them. You know they're having a good game if you don't notice them that much. And I know he was getting through his work, Cody, but he was doing it so eloquently and so well that he did what he did, and you never really thought about it. You went on to the next one and worried about what they were going to do. He just coasted through the game last night, and his distribution was great, his tackling was great, his marking was great, his leadership was great. I think we've potentially unearthed a little gem there, and if he keeps playing like we are, then there's absolutely no doubt we'll be safe, because that guy's going to get us points between now and the end of the season. That guy's going to get us points, whether it be through his constant chatter, his constant organising, or his just desire and will to win and get the better of his opposite number. So yeah, it's a great signing, I think.
Mainly because I could talk about him all day. There's just 2 points. Firstly, if you did not see the boogie at the end, he had a bit of a dance. So he's been staring players down and running into them like a flying sort of wall.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, he's having a bit of a boogie and a celebration, a massive smile. I was like, that's Connor Cody. I was like, that's him. He's going to go in the dressing room and crack a joke at someone's expense. And I've also never heard a Charlton player turn around to Lloyd Jones and go, "Wake the bleep up." I was like, crikey. And he got Kaminsky was telling Lloyd Jones to stand somewhere, and Cody went to Lloyd, basically, shut the hell up. He's your goalkeeper. Do what he said. I was like, oh my God, finally. Right? It was like, it's almost going to him. It's like, we've been in the Premier League, mate. You haven't. Listened to him. We know what we're doing.
Mark's made a very valid point in the chat as well there. I genuinely think that Docs looks 2 feet taller next to Cody. He must instill such confidence in and around. And that's a very valid point, because it almost looks like the players around him have grown in stature. Certainly Doc has. He's biting into things now. And I think he knows that he's got that anchor behind him, which is great. Yeah, very, very good point, Mark. And
I was going to come to the captain, Paul, because whilst he's still got his, issues on the ball in terms of playing the ball forward, we sort of kind of gone back to that League One thing of, you're not going to score a goal, I can play it sort of over and around my midfield. You've got Carey who can sort of bring the ball down a little bit, so it's not quite as hoofbally or goofbally as it's called on this podcast. But I mean, I thought off the ball was a very good Greg Doherty performance, and at the end, of course, he's the one that takes the ball and just boots it halfway down the pitch, which I thought was, I thought he looked very good. He gives Cody the legs, right? It's just keep running for him, run for him, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think I may have made a slightly unflattering comparison comparing Dr. Didier Deschamps, which in a way is upping the game, but also the sort of the role that Deschamps played for club and country was pretty unglamorous. He got stuck in basically in the trenches, as we say, and I think it's very much the same with Doc. And as Steve said, he's got that anchor, that cover behind him in Cody, and it's just he doesn't need to worry necessarily about what's behind. He can just get on with his thing. And I felt he looked the kind of the player that we thought he would be, that sort of championship level player who was able to cope. Whereas perhaps early in the season, or certainly at times, he's looked a little bit lost. And it goes back to what I said about the cohesiveness even of the whole unit. Basically, everyone's fitting in, dare I say, square pegs in square holes, and they're all doing a job, and they're all doing it well. And it's funny, isn't it? As we've said off air, if you put players in the positions where they perform best, funny enough, good things happen. We won't go back to the left wing back, but it is that.
Oh, we're going on to Chambers, don't you worry. Don't you
Well,
worry.
yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
taking
well,
that
yes,
week
but
for that.
you're going to be speaking in glowing terms, not going to be like, why haven't we effing signed the left wing back? You know, why are we putting Tyrese there, sort of thing. So yeah, again, I
We've
think
done that once this podcast.
yeah, well, exactly. But I think a team is better than the sum of its parts, isn't it? So I mean, Doc is playing really well and he looks comfortable. And yeah, I mean, long may that continue, I think. And as I say, it's just, as you say, I'm sure, Cody, Dykes, they're all bringing confidence to everybody. But then when you see Harry Clark as well, he's vocal. He doesn't mess about. He's played in the Premier League as well. And then you've got Chambers from a Premier League club who's playing like that, the sort of player we hoped he would be. I mentioned, I think, Connor Bradley in a previous podcast, obviously different side, but the same thing, very progressive, no fear. He's got into his stride almost straight away at Millwall, and he's carried on in that vein. He's got a lot of confidence. He strikes a good ball, and it's all looking good because, as I say, all the components are there, and we're seeing now the kind of performances that we saw earlier in the season when everything was ticking, before we got ravaged by injury and lack of confidence and what have you. So yeah, I mean, again, it's just Doc's playing incredibly well, and he's just part of the unit. So it's all, as I say, it's all looking really sort of rosy. But Chambers is obviously playing a major role in that.
I think a lot of it too is if you're Doc and you can't play the ball more than about 5 yards forward, and he can't, it's just not his game, right?
Yeah.
You look around, you've got Cody can play the ball, Kerry can run with the ball, Clark can run with the ball, Chambers can run with the ball,
Exactly.
Kane can run with the ball, Murray can run with the ball. Right, Lloyd's sort of in the same way, in that Lloyd's not the greatest player on the ball either.
Mm.
You can just basically hand it. It's when TC's out there, TC can handle the ball, Miles can handle the ball. Right, maybe it's a bit of an exception to that, but it's just not his. He wants the ball sort of to when he's sort of not facing goal, but like you can just place it off. If you're Kaminsky, you can just play it off, right?
Exactly.
You don't need to keep trying to play these sort of complicated Hollywood balls.
Exactly.
Suddenly becomes just part of the arsenal rather than the only thing that you're doing. Right?
Well, one of the things you've talked about, sorry to interrupt, is obviously creativity comes from flanks, and that's what we've got now. We've got Clark on one side, we've got Chambers on the other, really really competent, and then we've got other players, that can actually use the ball. Cody, as mentioned, Dykes as well. And if you take them out, and that's what we were like, 3-4 weeks ago. That's why we were struggling, because you just didn't have the quality. Now we've got the quality. Amari Bell, fingers crossed, staying fit. I mean, we've praised him to the hills already on this podcast plenty of times, and it's just we have now got a quality team, and we're matching up with the likes of Stoke and other teams, and we'll see that in the next the remaining games. We're going to play some. We've got some top teams to play, and again, I think we'll play much better than we would have played in sort of the first game between the various teams. So yeah, it's all looking really good. Hopefully, there's always that worry about injury, isn't it, looming, not just over Amari, but generally. But as I say, at the moment, it's all looking really, really good, and all we need to do is get a few more points. Let's be honest, 5, 6, maybe a few more, 7, 8 points, which we hopefully should get in the next sort of month, 6 weeks. And then, won't necessarily need to worry about injury. We mean perhaps withdraw players, rest them, and all the rest of it. But yeah, as I say, again, it goes back to the fact we've got quality players, in their right positions. And surprise, surprise, look what happens.
Just before we talk about the back three, but we'll come to it in a second. I just want to take a moment to appreciate the fact that Luke Chambers can put a ball in, which is just pure and utter filth.
Yeah.
That boy's ability to cross a football is a weapon that I haven't seen outside of sort of specialists at this level. The free kick against QPR where he tries to knock it on the inside, there's something there in this technical, but these crosses are consistently nasty, and you are consistently seeing centre back struggling to sort of read them because it's kind of coming off his foot, going out and coming back in again. And you can't really teach that. That's a Premier League academy kid.
Lovely touch.
It's a really, really nasty cross, and you have to get out to block it, which opens up the space for the players in front. Plus, he's actually a wing back and likes to push up, which is very nice to see because not only is everything coming from the width, but also you want to push them back because you don't want to have to play it through the middle or have to win a ball off of the goalkeeper or whatever it is. I know Paul sort of slightly mentioned it there, Steve, but let's just take a couple of extra minutes to give some extra flowers to Murray Bell. That man is pure class, and I don't really know what else I can sort of say about him because he just does what Amari Bell does. I just haven't seen a player down at this, at the Valley in such a long time. He's that comfortable on the ball.
Yeah, I think Rustov sums it up beautifully in the chat there. He put Bell is elite, and he is elite. There's absolutely no doubt about that. He's a Rolls Royce. He looks comfortable when he looks comfortable when he looks like he should be under pressure. He doesn't panic. He's got faith in his own ability. As we've mentioned on here, if he was fit every single week, I mean, you'd be talking about a top draw player that probably wouldn't be playing in this league. He'd probably be playing in the Premier League somewhere. But as I say, the fact that we've got him back fit now, and we've got the full-backs as well, it's just solidified the whole back three, back five again. And if we can keep this guy fit for the rest of the season, then we'll be as solid as we have been for the last 3 games, which will hopefully mean more clean sheets. But yeah, an absolutely great player, Bell. I think we're lucky to have him, and I think we all enjoy watching him.
Paul, another sort of, I think just kind of on that, all of a sudden when you look into that back sort of 6 now, back 7, you've got a former Premier League club captain, you've got a current international captain, you've got a goalkeeper that's got experience, that's won a Danish, a Belgian Cup, that's played at the level above. You've got sort of, your vice captain's back there. I don't think Lloyd's a particularly vocal player, but you've got a vice captain back there. Suddenly, if you're Kane Ramsey, I think, has had his moments this year, and he had a slip yesterday, to be fair. But all of a sudden, I think some of the sort of more idiosyncrasies you saw with Kane, which is he's not the most positionally sound centre back in the world because he's not trained as a centre back, really. Yep. He's a right back by trade. You're kind of seeing him sort of now be able to sort of show the bits that he's really good at, which is the athleticism, the recovery pace, the driving the ball forward. I think part of that is just I haven't seen a player that's probably benefited from that organisation quite the way that Kane probably has. Natural ability is there. It's just sort of almost at this sort of speed, you need someone who can organise you on the fly. And you hope at some point you can take a Cody out and you'll know where to be. Yeah. Right. But at the moment, we need someone to kind of talk, probably a Lloyd and as good as Lloyd is, sometimes he can be positionally caught out. You need someone to kind of. And over on the Raksaki chance, right, the first one where he hits the bar, Lloyd kind of goes on a bit of a runabout, and that's when you hear Cody shouted and wake the bleep up. Yeah. Right? Although we do have to, for both of them, we do have to talk about the 2 missed chances because those were both pretty god-awful. And really both should be going in the back of the net. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, what do you think of Lloyd and Kane? Obviously, they're fan favourites. But I think they're probably really benefiting from having some real genuine experience around, and also I think Cody telling them to stop arguing with their goalkeeper is a massive help.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if Cody wasn't there, I mean, they've been exposed, or I probably should be phrased. I don't know if you say they exposed themselves, but you know what I mean. That's probably for another podcast. But yeah, I think obviously the fact that you've got Cody berating them and telling them where to effing go, shows you what they've still got to learn at this level, and that's understandable. As you said, Kane's come up 2 levels or whatever. So, Lloyd is, I mean, again, he's not had that experience at this level. So again, it's being, as you say, coached through by someone like Conor Cody, who's been there, done that, got the England caps literally. Played many Premier League games, and he is a cut above. So he's got that invaluable experience, and as you say. The idea is that his skills and his nous will rub off on them, so that if he does leave at the end of the season, never to be seen in a Charlton shirt again, they will have taken on board so much from him. As I say, I think the timing's been great for them. Kane's had his rough patches, as you say. He was caught out once or twice yesterday, but equally. He made some, great tackles. As he made his name last year in some of his sort of last-ditch tackling. And we saw some of that, and he's obviously happier. He, as I said, the unit's far more cohesive. It's together far better. So if you make a mistake, then you've got a colleague to back you up. Where earlier in the season there were times where we didn't have that. You make a mistake and we paid for it. So, but yeah, I hope, as I said, I'd like to think that maybe Connor would stay on, but of course he's got his family in the northwest, young family. Does he really want to sort of create upheaval? I'm sure that the club will move mountains to get the kids into good schools, get him and his wife settled in Chislehurst or Beckenham or Petswood or wherever. But as I say, if that's not to be the case, then as you say, you would hope that he can impart the knowledge that the likes of Lloyd and Kane need to stand them in good stead. And again, as we said, every game at this level is a learning experience. So they've got a number of 15 more games to go. They're going to learn stuff with that. And having Cody as a tutor is going to be invaluable. But as I say, I hope we can sort of tempt him to stay on, because he's been a revelation. And yeah, he's really helping. I think he's helping the whole team. You need leaders. We've always talked about lacking leaders. We hope that Doc and Lloyd would be leaders. To some extent, they are. But I think Connor Cody's head and shoulders above them in terms of the midfield general to role. And yeah, the more they can learn from him, the better, I think.
It's really one of those things too with Cody. It's like, whoever you are at this level, you're not Connor Cody. If he tells you to shut up, you're going to shut up. If he tells you to move right, you're moving right. If he tells you to man up, you're manning up, right? Because there is a sort of natural respect, right? It's like he's sort of there going, I've got 9 England caps. What do you have?
Exactly.
And so there is a thing. It really is, because I've seen Kaminsky and Lloyd have an argument and whatever, and they did at Millwall. They were really tearing, bits out of each other. And you just sort of heard a little bit. Lloyd gave him a little bit of a talk back, and Cody just went, "Shut the beep up. He's your goalkeeper," and then went mark up. And I thought to myself, I was like, sometimes you need that in the dressing room. We'll come to it probably right at the end about another player that's rumoured. Well, rumoured sounds like it's going to happen tomorrow. To add a little bit of that same thing, but all of a sudden you've got a 33-year-old goalkeeper, you've got a 32-year-old club captain, an international captain at centre back, you've got a 32-year-old 9 England cap, former club captain in the field, and you're about to add. You've added Lyndon Dykes, who's got experience at this level, and actually can sort of maybe teach Leeburn a little bit of the dark arts, which he needs to sort of see. And also, it sounds like you're going to add another sort of 35-year-old sort of forward who's there to bring sort of leadership and sort of tell you basically when they say something, you better listen. And I think we kind of needed that in the dressing room. And I think January, a lot of it was about clearing out. And I'm not going to say specifically who, but sort of clearing out some players maybe that went, oh, I've got my championship move. I'm I'm sort of Mr. Billy Big whatevers. When actually, kind of behind you, you've got guys that are, let me put it this way: if I had Connor Cody barking at me like that last night, I would not want to. So I would be like, "Yes, where would you like me to go and stand? I'll go stand over there. That sounds good. Thanks, cheers, mate." And at the end, he'll come give you a big hug and put his arm around you. But like some of our best work colleagues have been like that, right? They'll put your arm around you, but they'll make sure that that when you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you're not showing the respect to people you're supposed to be showing respect to, and that's a really important part of it. Steve, this is going to take about 30 seconds. I mean, we should cover Thomas Kaminsky, shouldn't we? He came and claimed what he needed to. There was one dreadful clearance in the first half. We won't talk about that. That was a god-awful clearance. Yeah. But other than that, 3 straight clean sheets. Didn't have a heck of a lot to do yesterday, but came and claimed a couple of bits. I thought, again, other than that one clearance, Andy has a sort of half an assist. So,
Yeah, as I say, not a massive game for it to talk about. As I say, he did what he had to. I don't think there were any too scary bits, except the kick out with his left foot that went skidded across the ground, and the duck hook golf shot that when the ball got played back to him and he literally kicked it into the east stand. That was a very strange one, I must say. But as I say,
Lab was injured. He was kicking it out because he was injured. He did his hamstring. He did his hamstring. That's why.
Yeah,
that's why I did it. He boosted it straight out.
I mean, he wasn't one of our biggest influencers last night. But as I say, he was there again when we needed him, and I think he was protected pretty well last night, apart from the Raksaki chances. Yeah,
and he was kind of right in front of Raksaki as well when he hit the bar.
Yeah,
so it was sort of like he was there. So I think that does put him off. Raksaki didn't really go anywhere else without hitting him. Yeah, and going to curl that in the top corner from there. Fair play. Yeah, okay. 100%. And then Paul, I'll just ask you, because I just kind of interested. Maybe I'll get your opinion on it as well, Steve. We only made 2 subs last night. Now I know the nation of Kenya missed out on seeing the golden boy. But he was stripped away you could see he was ready, and I thought, God, do not let him on. He's going to get himself a red card looking like that.
Yeah.
He was ready to run someone over.
Mm.
That was not a boy looking forward to coming on and listening to tactical instructions. That was someone ready to to launch himself at people. Probably because he's listening to Robbins and Jones tear each other apart on the sidelines.
Mm.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. He only made 2 subs yesterday, and I think he only made 3 against QPR as well.
Yeah.
Is that something to maybe pay attention to? Do you think there's anything in that, or is it just in the flow of the game?
Well, I think absolutely. As I say, I think we've obviously criticised him on the pod for some of his rather esoteric substitutions, but I thought yesterday, we were playing well. You do risk disrupting the rhythm if you've got someone that needs to come off who's run themselves ragged. Got us, then fair enough. But as I say, otherwise, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Generally, don't tamper with it. I think we were playing very well. I didn't think we were in need of much of an injection. Apart from obviously TC, I mean, it did have 0-0 written all over it, and I think TC brought some much needed impetus to it. So I guess if that was the desired result, that's or Nathan Jones' intention, then obviously it paid off. So you can say it's an inspired substitution. But yeah, I wouldn't sort of criticise him. Certainly not last night. But yeah, there obviously have been other occasions where, I've had questions about some of the wisdom of his substitutions or non-substitutions. So yeah, it's probably a relatively minor issue last night. But as I say, DC came on and did the business. So you have to say yes, he was sort of vindicated in that. I would have liked to have seen Collins. As I said to you, I didn't realise he'd actually got stripped off. But yeah, as you say, he might have. Built himself up and just done a Vinnie Jones and been booked in 4 seconds, which would have been interesting to see. But yeah, it remains to be seen. I'm intrigued to see what Collins can bring. But yeah, hopefully it'll be boom rather than bust.
I think that Mark brings up a really good point too. So I don't think it was a game for many subs really in those nip and tuck games, bringing someone on who wasn't up to speed and cost you. We saw that with Berry, right, when he came on to play the 8 against QPR. Honestly,
yeah.
But this, so I think he's probably right. I think one of the things to note as well is we got the game against Portsmouth on Tuesday. But if you look at that home run in those home games, some of that is a tough run. But when you look at it again, you realize we're playing a lot of teams who are going to be like Stoke, right? They're all sort of mid-table championships. So you take Ipswich out of it, maybe take Preston. Preston have dropped a little bit. Maybe take Hull out of it, but we'll see if that lasts. I have my doubts. We go to Middlesbrough. But you sort of take those 3 games out of it, and you realize they're all kind of in that little bunched area. But Birmingham's away record remains god-awful. Wrexham will be tricky because there'll be no Cody in that game. But, it's a weird one. The away games and some are a lot more winnable on paper. West Brom are behind us, Oxford are behind us, Sheffield Wednesday's a voucher, right? That we just have to go and take. So it's a weird one. It's like we may end up actually picking up a lot of the points away. But then I look at a team like Bristol City, and I'm like, really? And I was like, that's a team that's like it's for. Then of course they go to Hull and win. But it's like one of those. Right? But you look at some of those home games are really quite tricky. So we're going to have to, I think, pick up something on the road outside of Wednesday. Oxford United obviously looks like the one, but our record at Oxford is absolutely dreadful. But I guess the sort of question for you guys is do you think that it's going to be one of those where we sort of need to capitalize on this run now, right? You beat Portsmouth. You try and get a point maybe at Southampton. Oh my God, could you imagine the spontaneous combustion Nathan Jones will do if we beat Southampton and St Mary's? They will need riot police in there. I'd be absolutely here for it as well. But you kind of like, do you need to do that? Try and get 4 from Pompey and Southampton maybe, and all of a sudden you're looking at going beat Sheffield Wednesday, beat Oxford, hey ho, pretty much home and dry. Or are you guys thinking we can win some of those more difficult home games?
I think last night was one of those games where, we've all got our ideas about the teams around us. Portsmouth at home, Oxford away, Sheffield Wednesday away. But I think what the great thing about last night, and probably why it felt such like a big 3 points last night, is that after that performance last night against a strong side, a middle of the table side, a team that know what they're doing at this level, there's a lot more optimism for those other games that you mentioned there, the likes of Preston at home, Bristol City at home. I mean, if we can beat Stoke at home, then we can beat those as well. That's absolutely no doubt about that whatsoever. And we might have a couple of off days in amongst those, but as long as we take care of potentially the ones that we think that we're going to do well in, there'll be 4 or 5 days, I'm sure, where we'll end up with 3 points, a point against these what we see as potential sides. The likes of Norwich as well. There's every chance that we can go toe to toe with these guys and either get the 3 points or get a point. So I think there's a fair bit of optimism after last night as well.
Yeah, we've got nothing to fear.
No.
Steve, what you're saying, Steve? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you go back again, get my time machine, go back to Bermondsey, and a few short weeks ago, we were down in the dumps wondering, where's the next point coming from? Suddenly, it's just turned completely. As we've said, we've now got a quality team. We can go toe to toe, as you said. We've got nothing to fear whatsoever. It would be great to get it all done and dusted early. You get maybe three or 4 early wins. And you said yourself, Callum, it may be that towards the end of the season there'll be a few on the beach, which might help us. But equally, they might be a bit relaxed, so that might be counterproductive. But I think we've got nothing to fear now. A few weeks ago we were fearful. We were fearful of our prospects, genuinely. And now it's turned the other way completely. Now tables have turned. We look like a proper team. We look like we did earlier in the season. We approached those early games with no fear. Obviously, we were sort of an unknown quantity, so that probably helped us a bit in those early games. But now, as I say, we've got a team, which is worthy of the name, and we have absolutely nothing to worry about. Well, nothing to worry about, nothing to fear. I don't think anything to worry about. As I say, if we don't pick up as many points as we can in the next sort of 3-4 games, I'm sure we'll pick them up later on. I bang on as I often do about the psychological battle as much as anything else. We've now got Cody. We've got Clark. We've got Dykes. We've got proper leaders, people that will vocalise and verbalise, that will pick people up when they're down, give them a bollocking to make sure they don't lose concentration. And that's all going to really help us for the battles ahead, I think. So I'm as I said, rarely full of optimism, but I sort of feel incredibly positive going forward. We might have a couple of banana skins, but as I say, I think as a unit now, where people are looking at us and saying, actually, Charlton are on the rise again, and we're not to be sort of trifled with. Whereas, as I say, perhaps a few games earlier in the season, people just saw us as a bit of a soft touch. Maybe some of our own fans did, justifiably, but that's all changed now. As I say, I'm really looking forward to the future. It looks, I think things look pretty positive from my perspective.
I don't know if you guys agree with this, but on reflection today, thinking about last night and echoing a lot of Paul's comments there about feeling good about the side, feeling good about the players that we got. It feels a little similar to when we lost at home to Leicester. We battered them that day, but we lost. But I think a lot of the crowd walked away that day saying, do you know what? If that's the best that this division can throw at us, we're going to be fine. We're going to be absolutely fine. And I know we had our injuries and we went on a bad
It turns out it's the 20th best friend this division can throw at us, but
yeah. But it just feels good again. It feels positive again, and I think there's a lot to be said for that. And that's got a lot to do with the new recruits, but it's got a lot to do with the way we're playing at the moment as well. So yeah, hopefully we can take that feel good factor and make it count.
And we'll also go to teams like Borough, and when we play Ipswich at home, they'll come onto us, right? So we'll be able to sort of sit back a bit more and sort of launch counters and try and get a carry at Portman Road again. And all of a sudden, you can turn it over, especially if teams like Borough are in title races. Yeah. The one game that I tell you, watching that last night, I thought, oh my God, this West Bromwich Albion game is going to be one of the worst crimes committed against the beautiful game in the history of the world. It's going to be two teams that basically would rather just leave the ball at the centre circle. We'll just end the game there. Leave it in the middle. Should we just do a couple of comments, and then I just want to chat about 2 striker things really quickly before we come off.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, I'm sure one of them might well be one I was going to touch on, which was a certain ex-West Ham centre forward. That
don't worry, we're covered.
Yeah,
There's 2 little bits. One, because I want to take the mick out of Brighton, and two, because there's about West Ham.
Yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. Apparently, someone mentioned that the England gaffer was at our game against QPR. Didn't see that. Not sure who he might have been watching there. Yeah, that's a strange one. Rustos mentioned his love for Cody again. We should be very privileged to have him at the club. He's only 32 years old. Tom mentioned
Busquets. That's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah, Tom had a very decent comment there, saying feeling a little bit sorry for Connor Coventry. He's a good player, but Cody's just the leader that we missed on the pitch, which is a very valid comment. In
levels, right? It's levels.
Yes.
One's a Premier League player. One was a Premier League player. One came to a Premier League academy, and I think has got a really good future.
Yeah.
But at this moment in time, I need the Rottweiler,
Yeah,
not the puppy dog.
Yeah. Yeah, but as I say, there's a few comments on. I won't steal your thunder in regards to Antonio. A few positives, a few negatives as well. We got mentioned on the wing backs. Sorted. There's less emphasis on playing it through the middle. Obviously, mentioned the love for Bell. Sam agrees with you, Paul, saying that the side's naming itself now, which it pretty much is, which is great. Tongue-in-cheek comment from Tom about how much Liverpool want for Chambers. Bit out of our budget, that lad, but wonderful all the same. Yeah, yeah, more love for both the fullbacks in that respect. Let's have a quick. Rustos has been a little bit mischievous there, saying Apt is a thing of the past now.
Yeah,
it is sort of true though.
Pressing my buttons.
Yeah, someone's put here. Charlie's mentioned, could Cody become permanent? I wonder. Wonder if there's a potential opportunity for that at the end of the season. You never know.
Depends on his wages at Wrexham. I don't know what he's on.
Which is exactly what Tommy early mentioned there. Depends on his.
But someone was saying he's on about 25. Community's on 20, so it's not like I think it's going to be a huge.
Yeah,
and there's going to be a much bigger budget, and players like Berry come off the books as well.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that might be an interesting thing at the end of the season if that's the case. Stuart's mentioned showing that the owners have a bigger vision for the club, but in a sustainable way. Next season could be very interesting, assuming that we stay in a division, which I think you've mentioned a couple of times, Callum, in regards to what may happen in the summer, depending on how we go. As you mentioned, Mark said about the game was a tight game the other night. Probably one that wasn't a situation for subs. Yeah, that's about it. I think that. Yeah. So I'll lead you on to your comment nicely, if that's the case.
Yeah. So there's three things. Firstly, because I'm going to forget about it, Paul. I think everybody needs to know what ground hopping are you doing this weekend, because we won't get to speak to you till Sunday. So where are you off to this weekend?
Who are you talking to? Paul, did you say, or me?
No, to you.
Oh, sorry, bud. I thought you said Paul there.
Me and
Sydney are going to Crewe this weekend. We haven't been to Crewe before.
Nice.
It was a bit of a strange one when I looked at it, because I had to register to get onto the site and put my address in, and then I realised that when I put my Kent address in, they were playing Gillingham at home. So I think I got away with it. But yeah, we're sitting in the Crewe end, so we're going to tick Gresty Road off the list, and hopefully it's a decent game where we see some goals.
Yeah. You're about to go watch Ainsworth, mate. I wouldn't get too excited about that.
No,
you never have to go back there again, Steve, hopefully, but there you go.
Well, back to the scaffolding, Paul. Back to the scaffolding.
Oh, God, yeah. Or Gresty Road, yeah.
There's two things. Firstly, and I don't know if it needs too much response. I think it's probably a bigger question. But can we just I'll go, Steve. We can all take a slight victory lap over Brighton. We told them to pay a certain amount. And they offered us to pay the certain amount on deadline day. By the time they got there, other Premier League clubs had registered interest in Bick, and at that point, we went, right, see you in the summer. So we're basically starting a bit of a bidding war, I think, which makes all the sense in the world. But that's why it's important to have American billionaires who won't just take the first offer on a talented player. Steve, I'll ask you, Paul, whilst we try and get Steve back in. Obviously, the rumour today, it's a rumor that's not really a rumor. I think the BBC even coded it, and they're in initial discussions. Initial discussions very quickly becomes final sort of deal, which should be a legend around these parts that I'm in now, but someone who we should not let drive a car, which is Mikel Antonio.
Or otherwise, yeah, exactly.
Which is Mikel Antonio, and it sounds like that will be the 25th player to finish the list. There are questions about, do we need another striker?
Yeah.
But Would you be down for? I'd absolutely be down for it. I think it's going to be.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine Mikel Antonio in a Charlton shirt, but I think it would be
No.
one of the. I think it'd be quite cool to see. As I say,
Absolutely.
East London legend here for next to West Ham.
Well, again, another of those sort of low risk, potentially high rewards, isn't it? I mean, I think you were saying on your pod that he played for Jamaica, so he's not been completely just training it himself since he left West Ham. So, but it'll be again another intriguing one, really. Again, like you, I loved him. He was all action, wasn't he? Sort of lung busting runs, really robust guy. I remember him playing for Wednesday years ago. I think Forest as well. And so I'd always sort of seen him, and I liked sort of his all action style. And again, another one who's been there, done it. And you know, I think it would be again worthwhile in the dressing room. If not even sort of on the field, I'm sure he wouldn't be a Jerome Roussillon in terms of his fitness and ability. Certainly not ability. So I'd be all.
Roussillon you're talking about, by the way.
Sorry, I apologise.
Davenport.
I know. Shame on me. Whatever. Down for all eternity. But I've got to contribute to the statue if they ask me. I'll pay for it myself. But no, I'd really be intrigued. I mean, he's got so much experience at the top level again internationally as well. So I mean, the rumours seem to be more than rumours now, don't they? So they seem to be substantiating as we speak. So I'd be all for it. As I say, let's sort of. I'd love to sort of let him loose. I think it'd be. I think say a low risk, as I said, potentially high reward. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, Steve, just to catch you up, I was sort of half taking the mickey out of Brighton because basically they seem to have accidentally started a bidding war on a youngster. So,
yes. Yeah.
Thank you very much, boys. Appreciate that. Sorry, Micah. Just stay fit. You'll get your move. But yeah, no, that was very, very, very funny to go to a Premier League side and basically say no.
Was the jury out on the Antonio signing, or are we okay?
This is where we got into. So Paul's excited. Cam's looking forward to it because I just can't imagine him in a Charlton shirt. It's like one of those players that you see sort of. I just think I know he played at Wednesday. I think you're right. I think he was at Nottingham Forest. There's just something about Mikel Antonio. I just go, that's West Ham, right? Yeah, that's West Ham, and it's like it's one of those things. It's like, well, you know, him playing at Charlton is sort of a slightly strange thing. But I think that there's a sort of leadership again. That's why you do it, right? And then in every aspect of the pitch, you've got some 30-year-old sort of, you know, basically leader to sort of take that group and, you know, really push it forward. Though up front we do have Godden, who is 34 or whatever it is, but Antonio's a different level of class. Yeah. In terms of his career, and I don't mean that as a diss to Matty Godden, who was a wonderful career, but you know, Antonio's scored a goal in every 4 games for West Ham in the Premier League. You know. He's a surprisingly clinical striker, which is, you know, considering he started his career at wing back.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Oh no, I've just realised Nathan Jones is still playing at wing back, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. He's got to be worth a punt, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you agree with it? Is it something that you would look forward to, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly come out of I don't know, left side. I didn't see that one coming, but I mean, ultimately he's got to get back on the bike somewhere, isn't he? You're talking about a guy that's got quality, as you mentioned there. He's had a very bad injury, but he's got to start his own career again somewhere. And I think if it's a gamble for, you know, whatever it is, 15, 16, 17 games that we've got left, yeah, absolutely, bring him on at the end of the game, see how he does. And as I say, he's got undoubted quality, strong, physical. Hopefully he can do a job for us. I'll be okay with that.
God, Mark, 35-year-old Antonio with half a Ferrari dashboard in his leg will be more effective than Kelman.
Yeah.
But just to one up all of you, I hope you all enjoyed the football you're going to this weekend. I'm off to the Derby d'Italia at the San Siro.
How was your last weekend in Italy? Did you have a
No, I'm going this week. I'm going this weekend. Yeah,
brilliant.
Tomorrow.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So I'm going to go. I will be at the San Siro on Saturday. So.
Bit better than Cresty Road, eh, mate?
or Parkview Road if Welling are at home. I'm not sure if they are, but yeah.
However, it's not quite Prince's Park. Right.
Absolutely.
Thanks everybody. Really appreciate you all being here. Emma will be back on Sunday. I think Sid will be back on Sunday as well. To be able to go back to making fun of Tyrese Campbell rather than me making people celebrate him. But have a good rest of your evening. Enjoy your weekends. And we'll see you on the Valley on Tuesday for what could be potentially season-defining game. And I'd really like revenge for that game at Fratton Park, please.
Yeah.
Thanks all.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.